fathers through building men. It's so important that we always stand up for our fathers. We want you to know we're with you. We're standing behind you 110%. Hello, everyone, and welcome to A Father's Note, where we promote fathers through building men. I am your host, Lionel Nelson. As always, I'm certainly happy and glad that you took the time out of your busy schedule to spend time with us this afternoon. I'm going to be discussing a topic, one word in particular that, if in all honesty, is since I've come to the realization of this and understanding of this word, that I have done everything that I possibly can to refrain from it. My parents, my father, shall I say, he used to sing with a group years ago that was entitled the Holy Elders. It was him and two other elderly ministers, and they used to sing this song that was titled "That a Child Is Not a Kid." And the words in the song went that a child is not a kid, a child is not a kid is a goat. This I want you to know, that a child is not a kid. Now, beyond further that along, going further along with that, you're gonna have to work that one out yourself, okay? But I want to get right into it because I don't really know exactly how this is going to go. However, though, I'm going to definitely be very candid and from the depths of my heart, and I want to address this. So, for the sole purpose of helping us men out, if I can say it that way. And I can tell you that maybe once, hopefully, once that I am done sharing with you my concept about when we use the word boy, when we are referring to our male children as well as men, that we're really using this word out of context. We're also laboring, putting a certain label on our men and our young men, our male children. So let me start by saying this, that I'm going to be addressing this from two particular perspectives. Okay. Definitely one from a biblical approach, and then the other one from a practical approach. First of all, I want to start off by saying that, okay, again, the topic of this particular show is Don't Call Me Boy. And I do welcome your comments. I do welcome your points of view. If you care to respond to what I am saying, please do so. I am presenting an open discussion right now. Again, this is a word that I'm very, very adamant about, that I believe that hopefully that once you hear what I have to say on this evening, that you yourself likewise, just as I did, would refrain from using the word boy when you're referring to your sons, when you are referring to a man, period. Okay. Now, there's an old proverb that says that there is life and death in the power of the tongue. And we know that words can give life the same as they can cause death. All right. Again, words do have power, and we know this. Okay. We know that with words, words can start fights, can start war, words can end war. Words can also give declaration to a man's authority, as well as it can weaken a man's authority. Words can mold the mind of a man. Okay, and we're going to prove that later on. As well as, ladies, you ought to know this, and I'm sure that there are some men out there that would agree with me. Well, your words can build that man up. Okay. So, and again, words have power. All right. So just bear with me as I walk through this, because I think it's very important that I take my time and I lay this out where it's that everybody can have a full understanding of why I say, don't call me boy. Okay. We also can say that words give identity. All right. Such as, when you hear the word car, you automatically know what a car looks like without even one being present in front of you. Okay. If you use the word boat, you know what a boat looks like, even if it is one, there's no boat in front of you. Nevertheless, though, again, words I can say along with that do give identity. Words give identity. Okay. Again, yes, your words do have power. All right. So, with that said, it is important to understand the magnitude of our words. Okay. It is important to understand that we need to be very careful of how we take words out of context. Now, I'm sure that if you are standing there and let's say you're looking at a light pole, you wouldn't call that light pole a stick, would you? Or you wouldn't call it a car. No, if you were to do that, someone would definitely look at you like you're crazy. There's no question about it. Why? Because, okay, this is the word that identifies a light pole. This is the word that identifies a car. This is the word that identifies a boat. It's interesting that, we would not call a lily a tree. All right. Even though it may look like a tree, but in actuality, it is definitely not a tree. Okay. A lily is considered to be herbaceous or ceous, however you pronounce it. Forgive me not pronouncing the word right, but it's considered to be really a non-woody plant that dies at the end once it's done growing. But yet still, you would not call it a tree when it is a plant. All right. Yeah, it looks like a tree. Y'all hear that now? I hear that. It looks like a tree. The same thing with a dolphin. You wouldn't call a dolphin a fish because a dolphin's not a fish. It is a mammal. But yet it swims in the ocean just like regular fish do. Okay. And that's totally understandable. But that I'm just trying to set this up. So just bear with me. Okay. Nevertheless, though, my question to you is then, why do we call a man a boy? Why do we refer to them as a boy when obviously he is clearly a man? If you have any comments, if you have any questions with what I'm saying, please feel free to tune in, to chime in, and put them in the chat. And we would definitely get to them and answer them as soon as we possibly can. All right. But, and this is the thing where I wanted to go with here is that even when we have a baby, all right, the first thing that we do is that we refer to it as a boy. Oh, I've been blessed with a boy. Okay. Why do we do that? And it's obviously the reason that we have done that is because we have trained our mind to say that, yeah, he's a baby boy. He's a baby boy. And I tell you, I've come to tell you, I'm going to have to say it this way. No, he's not. He's not a boy. And again, I'm going to make that point. Would you say, Miss Dumerville? You said that Michael Evans in the show Good Times used to always say, boy is a white racist comment. Okay, we're going to talk about that in a little bit. We're going to talk about that. Thank you for sharing that. All right, so listen, okay, so let's move on. All right, you're right. It's definitely a learned behavior. We're going to point that out. So let's move on. Okay, so if we look at Genesis 1, verse 26, and it says that God said, let us make man in our image and likeness. Okay, let us make man in our image and in our likeness. Okay, so now, and then also, now my question is, would God, all right, in general, refer to himself as a boy? I don't think so. But he said, let us make man. He created man. Okay, I'm going to say this. He did not create a boy. He created a man. All right. Even in Genesis 4, verse 1, listen what it says. It says that it states that Adam knew his wife Eve, and that she conceived, bare Cain, and said, this is what she said. Listen to what she said. She said, I have gotten a man from the Lord. Okay. So now again, even no matter what, now that is out of the King James translation. And absolutely, you might find other translations, but I can tell you right now, Eve said, I received a man. She did not say, I received a boy from the Lord. She said, I received a man from the Lord. Okay, even Isaiah 9, verse 6, it says that for unto us a child is born, unto us a son is given. So again, okay, you don't see the word boy there. It says that a child is born and a son is given. So therefore, these words of child and son, they are appropriate when you are referring to a man. Okay, let me go a little bit further here. Now, I was born to my parents, okay, and right now I am a man. But do you not know that I was a man at birth. When I was born into this world, I was born a man. I was not born a boy. I'm going to tell you, I'm going to clear it up now, but I was born a man. And being born a man, what happened through life where I'm at, I had to mature into my manhood. Okay. I had to learn what that is to be a man, to function and to operate as a man. Okay. Listen to what Paul says in 1 Corinthians 13, verse 11. And it says that when I was a child, I spoke as a child. Okay. I understood as a child. I thought as a child. But when I became a man, when I became a man, I put away childish things. So when he says when I became a man, what he's referring to is that when I matured as a man, I put away childish things. Okay. So I had begun to search out the word boy, and it was something that I saw online that really caught my attention. And there was this picture. This was during the civil rights movement. And there was this picture of this, I think it was during the sanitation boycott in, I believe it was Memphis. Not Memphis. God, I can't remember exactly where it's at. Y'all correct me if y'all remember. But there was a man standing there with a sign, a placket on his body, holding it up, and it says that I am a man. All right. So again, and I'm asking myself, why do he feel that he needs to stress that? Not only did him alone, but all of the other participants of that particular strike, they had the same sign on, I am a man. So that's what prompted me to research that whole, the backstory and everything along with that. So now let's look at something here. If we look in the Bible, in the King James Version, now, that's the first place I went, to the Bible. I really did. I went straight to the Bible. Okay, let me see how many times then is the word boy referenced in the Bible. And come to find out that the word boys is only mentioned twice. And even I went to the concordance, looked through the concordance. I researched for it because I wanted to be very clear on what it was that I was looking at. So it was referenced twice. The word boys, B-O-Y-S, is referenced twice. And it's only and the word boy is only referenced one time in the Bible. 3 times the word boy is mentioned in the entire Bible. Okay. And those scriptures are Joel 3:3 and Genesis 25:27 and Zechariah 8:5. That's the only places where you're going to find the word boy. Now, when you look at the word man, all right, the word man is mentioned in the Bible 3,323 times. The word man is mentioned 3,323 times in the Bible. Only three times the word boy, but over 3,300 times do you see the word man. Okay, so understand now there are 783,137 words in the Bible. And out of those 783,000 words, the word boy is only mentioned 3 times. But the word man is mentioned over 3,300 times. Okay. So I guess it's important to say that in itself says something about the magnitude of the word man. The word man. Boy, the word boy, I'm telling you, it is a word that is irrelevant. But I'm going to break it down to you where that word boy came from, because that's what I really wanted to get to. Then where did the word boy generated from? So when you start referring to a man as a boy, in actuality, what you're doing is that you're stripping him of his identity. Okay, you are robbing him of who he really is, which is he is a king. He is a man who has a kingship. Okay, and one thing that a king possesses, he possesses dominion and he possesses authority. So when you refer to your son as a boy, you are canceling, or shall I say, you're degrading or removing him, his title. You're referring to him as a lower standard. You are taking away his kingship. You're taking away his authority. And it's clear we have to understand this. Now I'm going to go a little bit further with this here. Maybe once I get to the whole thing, you will begin to really see where I'm going at. And if I'm doing all right, let me know in the comments if we're doing okay with this here. I appreciate you all tuning in. I appreciate you. I see your comments and everything. Thank you so much. But if we're doing okay here, please let me know in the comments. All right. Okay, so that's what we're doing. When we call him a boy, we're removing him from his image of being of God. Let me go on because I don't want to get caught up here. So, where did the word boy come from? Where did the word boy come from? So, I looked up, I searched this word because I wanted to be clear when I said it. Now, I would say too that what I'm discussing, I had to, Don't Call Me Boy, is a chapter that is in my up and coming book. And of course, you can look more into it. I'm just kind of giving you little nuggets from it right now. But I want to really address this here and make it clear, okay, what are we doing to our men? What effect are we having on our sons when we refer to them as a boy? Even if they are born into this world, 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, 4 days old, my baby boy. The question is, are we saying the right thing? The question is that something that we should be labeling them? Is that something that the name that we should be casting upon them? Okay, so as I stated, I looked up this word. I did some research on this word, right? And to tell you the truth, I found that the actual meaning of the word boy to be very, very intriguing. Okay, so I found some definitions, and according to the Oxford, I'm going to give you a definition from the Oxford and the Webster dictionaries, okay? So in the Oxford dictionary, now check this out, now listen to this. It says that a boy is defined as a male child or a young man. 2, it is used informally or lightheartedly, listen to what it's saying, to refer to a man. Now, that's what it's saying. Now, if you look up the word boy, this is according to the Oxford Dictionary, he's a man, even though we call him a boy. But I'm going to show you here. I'm going to show you here what we're doing when we refer to our young men, our sons, our male child as boys. When we're calling or address our men, our adult men as a boy. Okay, so the Merriam-Webster Dictionary defines boy as a male child, there it is again, from birth to adulthood, or B, son, a son. It's the same thing. It is the same thing. But again, I'm going to show you why we should not call our males, the male men in our life, or any man, okay, a boy. All right. Now, number 1, even just as it's stated here, okay, so this Ms. Moonville said that image and identity are intertwined. Absolutely. But I'm going to show you when you call him a boy and not a man, or refer to him a man. See, God said, let us create man in our image. He didn't say, let us create a boy. He said, let us create man in our image. So when you refer to a boy, you're taking his likeness away from God. That's what we're doing. Let me continue going because I don't want to tarry too long on this. Let me continue to go on. Okay, so what is the origin? What is the origin of the word boy? Okay, I looked up in the Wikipedia. It came up in the Wikipedia and also Guardian.com. And it says that the name didn't begin, the word boy did not begin until the early 15th century. Okay, and when the word boy began to be used more generally, that was when the word boy, listen now, began to be used more generally for any young man. It started when I go further, it really started in the 14th century that they began to use the word boy to refer to a man. When actuality, though, it wasn't like that. A man was a man, no matter what age he was born, even born into his world. He is not a boy, he is a man. Okay, so what was pointed out is that it is thought to have been borrowed into English from the French a century earlier as another name for a slave or a man of lowly birth. So when you call a man a boy, when you call your son a boy, you are referring to him as a slave. You are referring to him as a person of lowly identity or lowly birth. In essence, his existence doesn't matter. It doesn't mean anything at all. Okay, so when you think about it, okay, and if this is true, could it possibly be that when we refer to our male child as a boy, we're referring to them as a slave or servant? Because in actuality, that's what the word boy means. He's a slave or he's a servant. So when I saw that, it made it more clear to me why the man was standing in the picture. He was an African-American man or black man, however you want to term it, with a sign that says, I am a man. He needed a sign to identify who he was. That, no, you calling me boy, you're referring to me as slave. Now, we all know that even the slave owners, they referred to the male men of that they owned as boy. What? That's what we're calling them. So the question is that something that we want to do? Is that something that we want to speak over our sons? Is that something we want to speak over our men? You are nothing but a slave. You're nothing but my servant. That's exactly what it is. Let me continue. Okay, so look at this here. So you start calling your son, newborn, birth. He's from birth, a boy. Come here, boy. Go pick that up for me, boy. Now he has a name, whether or not it's Charlie, Bob, Leroy, whatever. He has a name. But when this my boy. You see my young boy? Yeah. He's a slave. You're calling him a slave. You're calling him a servant. But what's wrong with you calling him a man? Yeah, that's my young man. And then as a father, it's your responsibility to nurture him into his manhood. So this is the disconnect. Fathers don't understand your role because you've heard being called a boy for so long. So then when it's time for you to take on the characteristics of a man, you're asking the question, well, what is that? How do I do that? Because that's all you have been told. But what if you was told you was a king? You're my king. You're a king. Or you're my prince. I am a king and you are my prince. And I'm going to raise you to govern. I'm going to raise you. I'm going to teach you how to have the dominion that you're supposed to have. Because when they refer to the slaves, they didn't have no rights. When they referred to the slaves, they had no authority. When they call him a boy, no, you're a servant. You are my servant. They couldn't go when they wanted to go and come when they wanted to come. They had to get permission. But a king don't have to get permission. A king does what he wants to do. A king understands his identity. A king understands, hey, listen, I have authority as a man. I am not a boy. And this is what we need to understand, and we need to get away from. We need to get away from that. Okay, so listen to this here. I came across this article. It's firstThingsFirst.org. Now listen to this. It says that it states that from birth to age 5, a child's brain develops more than any other time in life. From birth to age 5, a child's brain develops more than any other time in life. Okay? It says that an early brain development has a lasting impact on a child's identity to learn and succeed in school and life. So if you're referring to your newborn babe, who is a man, who needs to develop into his manhood, and you are calling him a boy, you're referring to him as a boy, you are treating him as a boy, you're developing his mind to be a boy. But if you're telling, hey, listen, come here, young man, let me show you now. Listen, I have a grandson that I think he's 2 years old, and he's real smart now. But what I noticed though, if he's babied, if he's allowed to be babied, he's not going to execute his ability. He's not going to come into the full realization of who he is. But if he is taught, listen, man, you can do this at a young age, guess what's going to happen? Then he's going to develop himself to know how to operate and do those things that are essential to his development, where he will come into his independence. So the question is, are we or have we how the word, oh God, let me see. I know the word I want to say. Y'all forgive me. Sometimes these big words gets me, but anyway, I know what I want to say. But if you constantly instill it in a man's mind, he's a boy, 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 you're a boy, you're a boy. How's he going to understand his need to take responsibility when he's being told that he's a servant? So what does a servant do? A servant he does what he is told to do. So the question, y'all wonder why do men have boy mentalities? Is that possible the reason why? Because that, again, we're talking about words now. We're talking about words that have power. Again, I just identified, since the 14th century, the word boy was initiated into the English term to refer to our young men. But when in actuality, the word boy, and it was spelled B-O-I, really meant a person who is a servant, a person who is a slave. I hope I'm doing okay here. Okay, let me continue to read this up. It says that the article goes on to say that the brain is the command center of the human body. A newborn baby has all the brain cells or the neurons they'll have for the rest of their life. But it's the connection between these cells that really make the brain work. Brain connections enable us to move, think, communicate, and do just about anything. Okay, but remember, the brain has to be developed. So what you put in the brain is what you're going to get out. So if you have sons, if you have newborn baby, even now, listen, I don't care if they're 6 years old. They could be 8 years old, 10 years old. Stop referring to them. I don't want to tell you what to do. That's your choice. But let me say it. I encourage you to stop referring to them as your boy. You can use the word son. You can use the word male child, or you can use the word young man. But don't call them a boy. Then once you give them their identity, then it is your responsibility, fathers. It is your responsibility, mothers, to cultivate their identity of who they are, so that when they do get of age, 18, 19, 20, 21 years old, they understand what their responsibility was. It won't be trigonometry as to understanding what is my role, what is my responsibility, but instill that in them from a very young age. Am I doing okay here? Somebody let me know in the comments if we're doing okay here. I want to thank all of you who are watching, okay? Okay, the article continues to say that different areas of the brains are responsible for different abilities like movement, language, and emotions. Okay, but what you putting in the brain? What are you instilling in the brain? Okay, because what you instill in them will establish what their abilities are. It will establish what their language is, and as well as control their emotions and develop at different rates. Brain development builds on itself as connections eventually link with each other in a more complex way. This enables the child to move and speak and think in more complex ways. Are we doing okay? Are we doing okay here? Yes. And we love to throw that word boy. We love to throw that word boy around like it's nothing. When in actuality, we're doing damage to the mentality of our men. That's what we're doing. Now my question is this. Well, let me finish here. So let me give you an example. I'm gonna give you this example. So let's say you have a child, every child at some stage in life, some age in life, they begin to learn how to walk. Now, understand now, they have the ability to walk from birth. They have the ability to walk. So when it comes time, they see you walking. Well, let me attempt that. They begin to want to learn how to walk as well. But then every time they go to attempt to walk, you tell them, no, sit down. No, you can't walk. But again, they get up and you keep telling them, no, you can't walk. Or you continue to carry them. Or you want to pick them up and carry them and not allow them to walk when they have the ability to walk. What do you think that's going to happen to them by the time they get 4, 5, 6 years old? They're not going to know how to walk. As a matter of fact, they're not going to want to walk. They're going to always be expecting you to carry them as you have done the first 2, 3, 4 years of their life. So they're not going to want to walk. Why? Because you have told them you can't walk. So it's the same thing when you refer to your sons or your male child or your male children as boys. You and tell them, no, you don't have the authority. You're a boy because you're a boy. You are my servant. You are my slave. And you know how even before we had remotes, boy, come in and turn my TV. Y'all remember them days. Come here, boy, and fix my antenna so I can get my channel right. Y'all, that's in my time. I know. I'm aging myself right now. But y'all understand what I'm saying. I hope I'm making this clear. It's what you tell them. It's what you instill in them. So if you want your child, your young man, your son, even if he's a baby, okay, to be a man one day, a mature man, a man who is walking in his rightful responsibility of who he is, then guess what? Start at birth. The minute he begins to understand who he is, let me tell you one thing I found out. I'm sure I got some parents out there. A child, after a while, they begin to learn right from wrong. They know they understand. Don't touch that. Now they'll try you. They will try you, but they understand. So why do we take away from them the ability for them to understand their identity? You ever potty train your son? So you put the training pod in the bathroom with you. Y'all know what happens, ladies. So you take your son in there with you. You sit down. He sits down. The next thing you know, no matter how old he get, every time he get ready to go to potty, guess what he gonna do? He gonna sit down too. Why? Because that's what he saw you doing. He won't understand the fact that he can stand up and do his business until he see another man stand up and handle his business. It's that simple. So what are you training him? What are you instilling in him? I encourage you. If there's some truth, if you see some truth in what I'm saying, don't refer to your son anymore as a boy. Those of you who teach school, don't refer to the young men in your class as boys. Start calling them for who they are, giving them their identity. Young man, a little king or young king. But don't more boy, because it is, in essence, a derogatory word. So my question to you is this. Let me show you how impactful what I'm saying is. My question to you is then, why do a man get offended? Why do a man, I'm talking about an adult man, get offended when you refer to him as a boy? Why? Why does he get offended? You know what? Because he understands he's not a boy. He understands, no, I'm a man. I may not be all that I want to be right now, but I'm working on it. But it's okay to call him boy up until the time. No, what? You calling your son a boy at 15, 16, 17, 18 years old? Your boy? So he's a slave. He's a servant. That's what you want him to be. No, he's a young man. He's your future king. He's your prince. Give him his identity. Every time one of my sons called me, he said, "Hey, king." I said, "Hey, prince." Because he's part of me. And one day when he have his family, his children, he's going to be a king. He's going to understand his dominion, his authority, his responsibility. Because that's what I instill in them. Don't call him boy. Boy, if you don't get over here, boy, you cut. So now you're pulling him down. But you want him to be a man. But you calling him out of his name. You're taking away his identity. You are degrading his identity. We got to stop doing that. I'm just encouraging you. Let's stop doing that. You know, because what we're doing, when you really look at it, we're causing total dysfunction, total chaos with the understanding. Man, who am I? That's what they're asking themselves. Who am I? You know, it's interesting that my book, my first title, I changed the title since then. And I asked the question, who am I? Man, what did I miss? Why I don't know? Why I have to ask that question about who am I? And it's obviously I'm a man. But what man? What type of man? Y'all got any comments for me? Because that's it. That's about it. So listen, let me put this to you. So the early years are the best opportunity for a child's brain to develop the connections they need to be healthy, capable, and successful adults. Or shall we say, we're referring to our male children, successful men. We have to develop that from an early age. Okay? We got any questions there? Let's stop it. And you know what? One of the reasons why I'm having this discussion, and you know what? You may want to continue to use that word, boy. That's on you, you know. But I share this because it is my desire, in whatever capacity that I can, to change our perspective about our men, so we can help our men, so our men can. You know, we can't continue to speak what's positive in their life. Because technically, we all know that. Once you get of age, you refer to a man as a boy, he take that offensive. Even though we throw it around, I'm not going to say we because I'm putting myself in there. Even though they throw it around with each other, when in actuality, they shouldn't. They should not do that. No. So it's no longer, boy, this is my baby boy. No, this is my young son. This is my young king or my prince who one day will be a king. We're talking about words that have power. So I'm encouraging you, parents out there, fathers, mothers, please, if you listen to what I'm saying to you, please, let's refer from that word and readdress your male children in your life. Okay. And maybe I can say the same is about our young ladies as well. Okay. I'm gonna say the same about them. Let's address it. Let's not call them girls. I didn't research that. So y'all have to research that yourself. But I wanted to just point that out. So did I do okay? So anyway, I just want to help us bring restoration back to man's identity. I want us to be clear on that. Okay. What is the identity of a man? He's a king. First of all, he's a man. Even at birth, he was born a man. Or he was born, or she was born a woman. Not a boy. I'm going to help you ladies out, not a girl. If we, you know what, and to come to think about it, I'm going to say this, then we're going to get off of here. if you refer to your female child as a woman from birth, maybe they would develop woman characteristics. Maybe they won't act like girls. Maybe I need to research that. No, I'll leave that up for somebody else. Okay. But yeah, let's change that. Let's change that so we can help our men out, period. Okay. Hey, I have nothing else to say. That's about all I'm gonna say on that. I hope I've been helpful. Thank you all for your comments. Hey, I'm just sharing my thoughts about it. I'm sharing my thoughts and how I feel about it. So, I really don't. This is over a year ago that I had come across and I just say, you know what? I won't call my sons boys anymore. Not even my grandsons. I won't call them boys anymore. Okay, I won't do that. All right, because I'm taking them out. I'm speaking something over them that they are not. I'm speaking something over them that I don't want them to be. So why should I continue to abuse their identity like that? It makes no sense. It makes no sense. Again, like just to recap, I told you I only found the word boy 3 times in the Bible out of 783,000 words. The word boy was only mentioned 3 times. Boys and boy was only mentioned 3 times in the entire King James. Now, you may find it more times in other translations, but I'm referring to the King James version. But when you look at the word man is mentioned over 3,000. It's mentioned over 3,300 times in the Bible, the word man. So for me, even that in itself is very significant. That should say something. That should mean something, especially for those of us who are Christians, and maybe for those of you who maybe are not believers. I don't know, but I'm just speaking some truth right now. What I believe to be the truth is, we should not refer to our men as boys, because as I stated, the word boy is a derogatory man. The meaning of the word boy, okay, means either a slave or a servant. That is the actual meaning of or definition of it. Even though the definitions that we see today, what does it do? It refers back to the young man or son. So then why should we? I guess we're using the word out of context again. We're using a word that should not apply to our men. I know I keep saying thing over, but I'm just kind of driving it home. Okay, so let's see what else I have. I'm just kind of looking over my notes here. All right, so I'm going to read this one last thing I have. It says, however, if you refer to that young male child as a man, as a king, he would develop a man and king-like attributes about himself. He would seek those attributes out. If he is told he is a man from birth and a king through his adolescent years of life, he will conduct himself as a man and take his place as a king once he matures into adulthood. And that's what we're trying to get our young men. That's what we're trying to get all of our men. So with that, hey, thank you so much. I'm going to end it right there. Again, hey, thank you all. I appreciate you all. Don't call me boy. God bless, man. Everybody have a good night.